yapping once again about chaperone. Before I get into it, most of the people who've been watching my videos are not subscribed to me. So if you're a returning viewer, hell, if you're a new viewer, welcome in. You should like and subscribe. It genuinely helps engagement, much appreciated. And also, I want to see you back here. I want us to have a conversation. Leave your thoughts down below. But how are you going to know there's a conversation to be had if you're not subbed? So. I wrote a mini essay. She's a scholar. Critical thinking is dead, and it's genuinely concerning. If you are unaware, recently, Chappell Rowan encouraged... I didn't mean to say it like that. If you're unaware, this happened recently with Chappell Rowan.
I have encouraged people to use critical thinking skills, learn about what they're voting for, learn about who they're voting for, and ask questions. And it's being completely taken out of context. Per usual, there is nuance to what I say in interviews, and I think it's important that people use critical thinking. I think it's important for me to question authority and question world leaders and question myself, question my algorithm, question if some person that tweeted something about someone else is even true. It's important to question because that's how I think we move forward. This is my third election in voting, and the world is changing so rapidly, and I want to be part of the generation that changes things for good because we need it. If you come to my shows, if you read my full interviews, if you literally know anything about me and for what I stand for, you know that this is not lip service, this is not virtue signaling, that my actions have always paved the way for my project and the people who really know me. Actions speak louder than words, and actions speak louder than an endorsement. Here's the full quote that a lot of people are just not reading. I have so many issues with our government in every way, she says. There are so many things that I would want to change, so I don't feel pressured to endorse someone. There's problems on both sides, and I encourage people to use your critical thinking skills. Use your vote. Vote small. Vote for what's going on in your city. The change she wants to see in the U.S. is this election year, she says, instantly is trans rights. They cannot have cis people making decisions for trans people, period. So, hear from my mouth, if you're still wondering, no, I'm not voting for Trump, and yes, I will always question those in power and those making decisions over other people. And I will stand up for what's right and what I believe in. And it's always at the forefront of my project. And I'm sorry that you fell for the clickbait. I just woke up and to people just skewing it even more. Endorsing and voting are completely different. I don't agree with a lot of what is going on with policies. Obviously, fuck the policies of the right, but also fuck some of the policies on the left. That's why I can't endorse. That's why I can't put my entire name and my entire project behind one. Because there is no way I can stand behind some of the left's completely transphobic and completely genocidal views. So yeah, there are huge problems on both. You know what is right and wrong, and so do I. Fuck Trump for fucking real, but fuck some of the shit that has gone down in the Democratic Party that has failed people like me and you. And more so, Palestine. And more so, every marginalized community in the world. So no, I'm not gonna settle for what the options that are in front of me. And you're not gonna make me feel bad for that. So yeah, I'm voting for fucking Kamala. But I'm not settling for what has been offered because that's questionable. It's questionable that our actions of our government, the actions of the internet, the actions of you and me. If this is what you are not understanding, you know what? Endorsing someone, if someone is publicly endorsing a political figure, that doesn't even mean that they're gonna fucking vote for them. Because as I said in my other video, actions speak louder than words. And I'm not gonna let this narrative of like me not playing both sides. No. This is not me playing both sides. This is me questioning both sides because this is what we have in front of us. So if you look at my statement and you're still like, she's just playing both sides, like she doesn't want to, no, you're not getting it. I'm critiquing both sides because they're both so fucked up. Voting is all we have right now in the system. And so I encourage it, yet again, vote for who in your mind is the best option for what we have right now. Because it's all we can do. And I hope this makes it clear that no, I'm not picking the sides of what we have right now. Yes, one's obviously better than the other. But Jesus fucking Christ, I hope you don't settle for what we have and put your name behind someone that you don't fully trust because of their blatant actions.
And in situations like this, she was being clear, if you ask me. She didn't say anything wrong. It's just that she's really popular right now. So, of course, people are going to nitpick absolutely everything. But the problem is, the more that you try to explain yourself in this situation and the more that you let your frustration show and you speak with emotion rather than just like taking a couple days back, clearing your head and thinking up like a coherent kind of emotionless response, you kind of just dig yourself a deeper hole. There is a lot to be said about not knowing how to navigate being in the public eye, knowing how to share opinions, getting the right media training, but I just want to say all that for a second. Chappell Roan has made it very clear who she is and where her morals lie. This outrage at every little thing she says is just the losers, yes, the losers, of the internet doing what they do best. Being stupid, first and foremost, and chomping at the bit to tear down the latest rising star. Someone skyrockets in the public eye, and they get an onslaught of hate. We've seen this happen time and time again. It's not a news story. In fact, it's boring at this point. Even for the most minuscule, harmless things. If you can hear both sides have issues and draw the conclusion that she's comparing the left to the obviously drastically worse right, you are either, sincerest apologies, dumb or misunderstanding on purpose. I can't fix people just wanting to be haters, and I doubt they want to change that themselves, hence the loser remark. But I can talk about the glaring lack of critical thinking and how worrying it is. You should not need disclaimers for everything someone says. You should not need a 50-page dissertation to understand a statement that is very clear already through context clues, and I'll get back to that in a sec, or just simply, in my opinion, being transparent enough on its own. Like, I read what she said, that there's problems with both sides, and I didn't think twice about it because it's true. That doesn't mean I'm a Republican. Girl, hell no. What kind of person needs that explained to them? If you do need every little thing explained to you, you need to seriously step back away from social media that is rotting your brain and read a book or something. I know people say that as an insult, but like literally, you need to step off the phone, step away from the computer, and do something that will actually strengthen your mind. Do something productive. Do something that will feed your brain, not take away from it, because that is bad. I saw someone recently in a TikTok comment say, is there a rise in illiteracy, or does social media just, because it connects everybody across the world, does it just make it apparent how prevalent it is? You know what I mean? Have people always been this dumb and we're just seeing it now because you can broadcast your entire life and all of your opinions and all of your thoughts? Or is social media genuinely making us dumber? And I think someone should do a study on that. I would read that. I would actually love to know the answer. It's not this random pop star's fault that you don't understand things. Like, seriously sit and ask yourself how you can sit and listen to a lesbian pop star who is pro-Palestine and dresses in drag and advocates for trans rights and think you can justifiably assume that she's a Republican? Like, what are we talking about? The math is so horrifically off, and the effects the pandemic and social media have had on our intelligence levels is really starting to shine. That's another thing. Teachers on social media have said this, that like since the pandemic, kids are they're way behind. Like their development, their education, their understanding of academics is much worse than it used to be, which is why I think that we actually are getting dumber. But I also do think it's a mix of just because everyone is social media, you just see how stupid people actually are. And we have always been that way. I don't know. Getting off topic. Do I think she needs media training and a PR team? Maybe. I mean, everyone needs a PR team, but I have mixed feelings about media training. If you're going to be famous, you need to learn how to appropriately respond to things or not at all. At least that's how it's gone thus far. That's what we're used to seeing. I personally enjoy seeing someone with no media training because it means the public haven't successfully bullied and tone policed them into being a robot. Not that people with media training are robots, but it's like certain questions you can tell. They get much less personal. They become much less themselves. But you do need to learn how to not let it get to you. And she's obviously letting it get to her, and it's going to end up costing her career, I think. It's harsh and it sucks, but the reality is nobody wants to support an artist who keeps canceling shows on short notice because the hate on social media is getting to them. You know? Like, yes, her situation sucks, but also people are allowed to be disappointed that they were literally traveling mid-air and found out that it was canceled, or already there and found out that it was canceled. Like, two things can exist at once. Nuance is a thing. Too many people do not understand that. Illiterate. This is where growing thick skin and compartmentalizing comes in. Since this is a discussion about literacy, let me clarify. Here's the disclaimer that I hope you don't need, but I'm gonna give anyway because this is the internet and that's just the way it goes now. She is allowed to feel her feelings, obviously. Mental health is absolutely a good enough reason to cancel shows. It's in no way her fault that you people foam at the mouth to hate on someone just because everyone else is doing it, or you're stewing with jealousy. Whatever your reasonings are, the end result is still invalid and inexcusable. It's not entirely her fault that people misconstrue things. It's not her fault at all that some just do it on purpose for the fun of it. But it is up to her to learn how to just let it all roll right off. The burnout will be very real if she doesn't, not to mention the toll it will, and evidently already does, take on her admittedly already unpredictable mental health. She has to learn to just not care about what the very loud, very unintelligent masses will say about her. Yes, this is easier said than done. To some degree, you're going to care no matter what, but you do have to be able to just shut it down. It's gonna get to you some days, like you're a human being with emotions. That is inevitable. That's what disconnecting, which I believe she plans to do already. I saw a clip of her talking about it at a concert. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. And learning how to cope with all of it privately is for. I personally hope she continues to tell all the what's out there exactly as it is, because a lot of this backlash, again, in my opinion, just reeks of people who want to control what she says and how she says it, and the fact that Chappell doesn't bend to the abuse just pisses them off more. Typical narcissistic behavior, which is far more common than I believe we're aware of, especially with the entitlement that people feel over celebrities. Thus far, she's done nothing, and if you ask me, said nothing wrong. People just have a problem with the fact that she doesn't take shit from anyone. People love a bad bitch. People love a bad bitch until the woman in question calls them out on their shit, and rather than reflect on why they feel offended, they just lash out and spew vitriol at her. Yeah, Very, very boringly predictable.